Vladimir, it's nice to see you again, even by Zoom. It was great to see you in person up in Halifax about a week and a half ago. And, you know, as I was watching you on the panel talking about what was happening in Europe and with Russia and everything that you have sacrificed to continue to do what you're doing to provide an opposition to Vladimir Putin. One of the things that I thought about is just how you deal with all those challenges and what particularly in defense of human rights you're seeing and how we can do better about addressing what Putin is doing and what you're facing.
Thank you for your question and your kind words. It's sort of strange for me to think about it in terms of, you know, how we do this and what's the motivation and what keeps us going, because frankly, that's not even a question that comes to mind normally. How could we not do this? This is our country. We care about our country, and we think our country deserves better, frankly, than to be living in the 21st century under the yoke of an authoritarian kleptocratic dictatorship. Needless to say, you know, political change in Russia can and should, and if I may add, will one day come from the Russian people themselves. It cannot be any other way. And, you know, we have seen what's been happening in Russia over the past year, even the hundreds of thousands of mostly young people who have been demonstrating all over the country, literally from the Baltic Sea to the Pacific Ocean, in protest of the arrest of Alexei Navalny, in protest of the kleptocratic dictatorial regime of Vladimir Putin. So change in Russia is coming. Things are not going to remain forever the way they are today. And again, it's only for us Russians to change the situation in our country. What we do hope to see from our friends and partners in the international community is that you stay true to your own principles, is that you stand on the same values that your own systems domestically are based on when it comes to international affairs as well. I cannot tell you how disappointing and disheartening it is for us, those of us who are in opposition to Putin's regime in Russia, and having to live with everything that we're living with, from political repression to political assassinations or attempted assassination to hundreds of political prisoners, to violent dispersals of peaceful demonstrations that the whole world has witnessed. How disheartening and disappointing it is to see Western leaders or Western politicians, you know, welcome Putin with wide open arms, give him red carpet treatment, shake his hand, call him a friend and partner, and so on and so forth. But even more disheartening is to see Western countries essentially allowing Putin's kleptocracy to use them, to use the West as havens for the wealth that they are looting from the people of Russia. Because the way this regime operates, the way Putin's regime operates, is that these people want to steal in Russia, but then go and spend and stash away that stolen money in Western banks, Western jurisdictions, Western financial institutions, and so on.
I was in Georgia last summer with a bipartisan delegation when we got, actually it was in Ukraine, when we got word that Putin had shut down Radio Liberty and Radio Free Europe in Moscow, and the reporters had fled to Kyiv in Ukraine. And we met with them to talk about how important it is to have freedom for reporters to tell the truth about what's happening. How do we develop a democracy? A democracy is not possible without a free press who can report on what's happening. And so that's another area that we've really got to look at. And you talk about the financial situation. It's something that we've been talking about here in Congress, because as you point out, if we allow Putin and other oligarchs to make money through corruption off of the Russian people and then store that money in safe Western banks and financial institutions, it reinforces the ability that they have to steal that money. And we've got to stop doing that. We can't let that happen. And whether it's through Magnitsky sanctions or other measures, the financial systems in the West have got to take a stronger stand on allowing that kind of money into the system.
My question to you is that I notice that every time a member of the United States Senate, including yourself, comes out in support of an initiative that relates to democracy and human rights internationally, there is a sort of a flurry of commentators, especially now on social media. It's really easy to flood people with negative comments. And a lot of people ask the question, oh, why do you care about that? Why do you care about what's happening somewhere in a faraway land? Deal with your own problems, deal with your own, constituency.
Well, you talked about our values, and our values are what makes America such a great country. And the values that we represent in the United States are a very important symbol for the rest of the world. And if we're not willing to support human rights around the world, then how can we stand up for human rights at home? So it is very important. And as you say, it's very important that we speak up, that we have our voices heard, because it does matter.